And if you're keen to go to more networking stuff, I've got friends running events. Just saw a friend of mine who runs startup events. So it's kind of where you go and meet people who those sort of angel investors, as well as tech people, techpreneurs, as well as technical people like coders and stuff. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, I can post that in the WhatsApp group. So she's sort of a friend of mine that I met around town who does a lot of this sort of work, and she just did a call out for sort of volunteers. So that could be something interesting. We'll pop those things in the chat every once in a while, and there's no requirement to go, but if you're curious, then you can definitely get along. So Sydney was very productive. I was there for 7 days, got a bunch of new opportunities that we're working on, and I'll sort of, we'll be getting those to you in the next week or so when we start doing all the placements. So I do have some slides to go through. I just wanted to run through our content system, the way we do things. Last week I ran through the sales process, and then I said I'd talk about the warm part of the funnel. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But just before we kick off, is there any questions, or has anyone got any things they want to talk about? You just put your hand up and you can have a bit of open forum discussion. This is our internal meeting, so no. Right. So one thing I will do is get a couple of our people to talk about their early engagements, because we've already started placing people, but we just did a couple that we had that were sort of urgent before we got onto the main placement. So Vivian's here, I see. Looks like you're moving. So can you talk, or is it convenient?
Yes, I can. I'm just in the car.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to just give a bit of a recap about your experience thus far?
Yeah, I've just been working on sort of learning that beginning stages of like writing a marketing plan for, I think, 2 accounts that I've got working on at the moment, and that's been super fun. I feel like just like not just listening to it, but actually practically doing some of that research helps you understand the companies a lot better. So yeah, it's been really fun.
Okay, and you're working with Pearly, right?
Yes, I'm working with Pearly and Tiana.
Yeah. So Pearly's obviously a great boss.
Wonderful.
Yeah, to say good things. So Vivian, as I mentioned before, she has a keen interest in a subject that one of our clients, we picked up this client and they just happened to be a match. So we just got her onto that straight away because it's a brand new client. And Raven's just been paired up with one of our clients as well. Raven, are you there? Oh, there you go. Yeah. So have you met the client yet? Have we gone through that process? I think you did.
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday, introductory meeting.
Yeah.
And I just learned have a basic understanding the client's projects and what are we gonna do, and saw my mentor how to coordinate these things between us.
Yeah, I talked to Sabari before that, and because this is the background of how these things work. The client wanted somebody, we put Raven forward, and she actually chose from a group of people. And then this client's a physiotherapist, and she's got a very, very high physiotherapist, one of the world leading experts in knees. And but because she's very busy, she sends through this very short cryptic email that said, I need somebody to I need Raven specifically to do a photo shoot on the weekend.
Yes.
So this is in like 5 days time, right? And I'm like, what sort of photo shoot? How many photos? Where is it? What do you need a camera? Where are you using I've got 1,000 questions. But then I just left Sabari to sort it out because he's a smart guy. And so Raven, can you tell me a bit more about the client and what the job you're going to be doing is?
My job is have 3 key parts. One is the website development, and then the personal branding for the client, and then the email marketing thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah. But on the weekend, you're going to be doing some photos, is that right?
Yes, some photos for her social media.
Yeah, cool. So that's part of the job, is where we do want to have people go out and do things in real life, come on site. It's not a requirement, by the way. So, if you prefer working remotely, that's okay as well. That's a good thing to tell us so we know. So Vivian comes into the office at Social Star. Raven's going to go and meet her client on site. So, if you're working on with other clients, sometimes it'll be local, sometimes it won't be. It depends. Every client's a bit different. Every requirement's a bit different. So one of my clients that I met in, so this is something I want you to put into the chat right now. So I had a new client in Sydney, and they are interested in someone helping them do LinkedIn. So LinkedIn profile, content management, and outreach, and they're looking for 2 potential people. So that's in Sydney. They're in the outer suburbs. They're a waste management, so it's a pretty industrial type of business. You don't necessarily need to go in there, but there may be a choice to do it. I got the train out from the city because that's what I like to do. So I stayed near Central. So if that's of interest, they haven't agreed. There was just a conversation, but I'm then going to move to a proposal, and then once we have a proposal and we know that they're going to pay for it, we'll then match with people. But if you want to put in the chat if that's of interest, they're called Enviro. You can put the website in there. They're called Enviro Waste. That's one opportunity. Another opportunity, and this is kind of how these things happen, is the CEO of that company. We actually worked on his wife's business, and she's an artist. So she does watercolor portraits of famous buildings in Sydney. And she's been selling at markets and so forth, but I wanted her to sell them online and do a bit more marketing, and she really hasn't done a lot of that. And her name's Ruba. What's her name? Ruba Barcha. And so she's another client that I suggested this for, and she's actually quite interested. So if you could just take note of that Pearly who's chatting. So Ruba Barcha, do you have Ruba? Can you find her profile, Pearly, and put it in? Ruba Barcha is also after a potential intern. It's another opportunity. Sabri, who just left, who Raven's working with, also has another opportunity with a client, and they're in the Gold Coast. So I think we had people in the Gold Coast. Anyone, can you put your hand up if you're in the Gold Coast? Is anyone there? I can't remember. If not the Gold Coast, if you're in Brisbane, we're after people who are in Queensland specifically for this client. They have 2 businesses. So they do very high-end home renovations. So they make beautiful houses, win awards for their property development. And then the wife also has a business where they dress homes, where they put the furniture in them and style them. So if you're into home renovation, I guess, styling, furniture, those sort of things, this would be a good opportunity for, they want somebody there as well. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be, it'd be good if it was on site where you could actually go and take photos of the houses they build and stuff like that, but not necessarily. Do you want to bring up Hanson Living, Pearly? Put that in the chat. So that's another opportunity, but preferably for someone who's in Queensland. I'm sure we had people in Queensland. So if that's another opportunity we've got. So they're just the ones that have come to mind lately. So there's, there really is endless opportunity. We haven't even started marketing. This is just people who I'm having conversations with. Now, that plus all the people we've got on the Thursday and the Wednesday programs. But obviously, if these opportunities are of interest, then we may pay you with these people and not the people on the programs, on the Bob program. I will be working over the next 2-3 weeks to place everybody with somebody. And if you, I think I mentioned before, I'll get to your question in just a sec. If you're not placed initially, you'll partner with someone as a backup to start to learn the process and be their backup. And then when they get an account, you'll be backup for their account. Do you remember I mentioned that? So we'll start doing that work as well. Now, if you really wanted to be partnered with somebody, that's a really good thing to let us know. You probably haven't met anyone yet, but if you happen to know somebody or you think, oh, that'd be a great person, I've seen them on their profile, please do let us know. Otherwise, we'll just do the matching ourselves. So, I believe diversity is a good thing. So you might someone who has different skills than you or went to a different university, that's or different nationality. That's always a good thing to do as well. Then you get to learn. So, all right, questions? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I had a question about the opportunity in Sydney that you had just mentioned. So since I am also currently in Sydney, I think that would be a good opportunity. I just had a question. Did the client say that is it going to be completely remote, or will we have to like go in the office anytime?
We haven't got to that level of conversation. The job was linked. I suggested that an intern to help the team with their LinkedIn profiles and to help them do their outreach would be a good thing. Very cost effective. They haven't started their retainer with us. We've just done a marketing audit, and they just paid for me to do some training. But they're looking to come on board as a retainer. So this would be a separate retainer, if you like. And we normally pair it with one of our retainers so we can coach and supervise you with the program. So this work definitely could be done remotely. There's no requirement to go and take photos and so forth. But if you have a choice of being remote, and then if someone was prepared to go on site, I'd probably get the two people to be one of each, if you like. And even if it was on site, you wouldn't have to go on site all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd only have to go on site once in a while. Like, Raven won't need to go and take photos all the time. It's just a once off probably, or maybe once every few months. Most of the work will be done, remotely. The last time I was in Sydney, and my biggest client's in Sydney, and the last time I was in Sydney was 8 years ago. So, I just haven't been there. I just haven't had a need, and we've just had other people do the work. But I kid you not, by going up there, there's just far more opportunities when you physically go into the building and talk to people, when you see opportunities and so forth. So, it is. There's nothing like learning from absorbing. I remember when I was at Hewlett Packard, I went from an office products company, which was sort of low tech. The most advanced thing we had was fax machines, to going to high tech. And I didn't know anything about technology, but you just absorb it. People just talk about it. You're around it. It's just part of the way of doing things. Just the way we did things with email and whatever was just very different. And, they just presumed that I would know tech. So they said, can you go build your own computer? I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. And so I just had to figure it out. Is there any other questions? I love questions. Cherry. Yeah. So, Pearlie, you're interested in having someone apply?
Yeah, I would be. We're looking for an intern to help us with content creation and some maintenance on the website.
There you go. Well, Cherry just expressed an interest. Yep. So, thank you for the questions. I love getting questions. The other thing that I want to mention is I'm also looking for an intern for CampusLife itself. So, it's becoming, a busy part of the business. So we're getting a lot of interest from clients. So we've actually got another 20 people waiting to come on board once we place all of you. So, and that's only from the first intake the first round we did. So I actually met with the head of marketing at University of Sydney while I was up there. It's one of my friends. And so she loved this idea. So there's a lot of opportunity at CampusLife. So we're going to have Pearlie run the program, and we're looking for an intern. So if you're interested in working for CampusLife itself, so content creation, working with Pearlie, working with me, that's another opportunity. So put your hand up for that. And we also will want other Social Star ones for future clients. So some of the ones I mentioned are Social Star clients, but we have others. So, we've got about, how many clients we've got, Pearlie? 35, 38 clients. So these are only just some of the new ones. So we will be matching you with those as time goes on. And if you're in Melbourne, you can then come into the office and experience our office life. We just can't fit everyone all at once because we've got limited space. I'm going to have to buy the office next door. Vivian, you'll have to desk share, so I hope that's all right. Yeah.
We should have like a round table.
Has she put anything on the desk yet? You got to be like Julia. She's got like all her trinkets and
I'll
she's
make
only.
sure to bring some things to hide my sweat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's mine. Okay, and we will as the last thing. I'll get to you, Cherry, in just a sec. The last thing with the Bob people is once we've got the personality part done, that's when I can start matching, because I do want to see, and I think really it was useful seeing their vision and their mission. That helps you connect and go, yeah, I really love that, or it's not for me. So this week we'll hopefully finish that off and then get onto the personality. We'll go through values, and then the next week is personality. So by the time we finish all that, that's when we'll be placing you with them. You'll get a good sense of them. Hopefully we'll match well. And it'll be a nice partnership. So, Cherry, you got a question?
Yeah, I just want to ask a little question. What's the process gonna be like when we get to meet the client? Do we have like a meeting with them, or just want to know? Sure.
So it's pretty much like Raven. So the way we're working at the moment is you've submitted videos, yeah. So if you haven't submitted a video on the app, it's going to be harder for me to place you because I won't be able to show them anything. When I did Raven, she was in the very first intake. So I showed, and we didn't have the app working. So I just showed her video that she did to get the job at CampusLife, or to get the internship, I should say. And that gave her a sense of, what it's like. So if your video's on the app, that's where I'm going to show the client. So we'll suggest 3 to 4 people, preferably geographically, if they need that geographic presence. If not, it won't be geographic. And then they'll choose. But if we have their personality profiles, we'll be able to send that to them and go, this is what they're like. Because then the client will go, oh, okay, they're a high level thinker, or they're very good with people, or they're detail. It gives them a flavor of who you are. That person, that the video gives like an interview, and the personality profile gives it a little bit of more data, and then they'll choose from there. And then once they've said yes to you, so they choose you, then we organize we talk to you about it. So we make sure first, then we organize a meeting with the client where we introduce you, we get the brief from the client on what they want. We make sure that you can do those things. Remember, so when they said, when Jane said, I want Raven to come take photos, my first query is, is she able to do that? How's she going to get there? Is it inconvenient for her? Our job is to look after you. And so we checked all those things off with Raven before we said that's okay. Our job is to precurse with the business that, you're not master photographers, website designers, graphic designers, video editors, podcast engineers. I mean, you're students, right? So we have to take it slow, and they know that, right? And that's why we're going through this program. We haven't even got into the build yet, right? And you'll learn as they learn. But the thing is, you're smart and capable and resourceful, so we can figure stuff out. And a lot of it is just having someone to do things that they don't want to do because they don't have time. Yeah, like content, creation. There is an art to it, but it's not exceedingly difficult. I think it's hard to do really well, like a lot of things, like making food. I can make dinner, but I'm not going to be open a restaurant anytime soon. But I don't need to. I can feed myself, right? So a lot of the work we're going to do is feeding yourself. Which is better than nothing. My food's better than no food, as my kids say. But it's it's not like restaurant. But then at restaurants there's scales, and unending scales of prices and variety. So that's what I feel like we are. We're getting in there doing, the basic good quality content that's going out regularly. And for a lot of our clients, they've never shared anything. So what you share will be remarkable because it'll be a big change for them. And we'll step you through that. So that's probably a good prelude to me just showing a little bit about our content system. Thank you for your question, Cherry. And if you work with Pearly, I mean, you know, she's fabulous at content, so you'll be very lucky to work with her. And she's a university teacher, so she knows how to teach too. Okay, so make sure you've done all these things. So make sure you're ahead with your homework. That's very important, that you've done it before we get onto the call. I may call on you in any of these meetings, so just be prepared that I may ask you some questions. I do that for a few reasons. Is I want to see how you react, and it's part of just talking. Like, you know, you have to talk to people, and getting used to doing that. I won't be nasty about it. I'm just saying it's important. So I'm just going to skip through these, and I want to get into, where's our content? Sorry, I'm going to skip through this. There's it. So I mentioned in the warm section, we have this thing called an expert marketing system. Now, we named it expert because the customers we work with are experts at what they do. You know, they're surgeons. Jane Rooney is one of the world experts in knees. You know, these environmental guys, you know, when they were talking to me about the process of you know, waste management, I'm like, I had no idea, right? You know, the factory is amazing. One guy started it, you know, and he's done exceedingly well. Like the founder started it with one leased truck, and now he's done like 30 trucks they own, and they employ all the staff. I mean, that's crazy growth, you know, so they must be doing something right. You know, these people are experts, and what our job is to capture the knowledge out of their brain and get it online so that it's useful for their customers, employees, and partners. Okay, a lot of this work is actually for recruitment of staff as much as it is for recruitment of customers. Okay, and the retainment of staff. Right. So we did a survey with this EnviroWaste and said, who's heard the founder's story, which is a really inspiring story, and only half the staff knew about it. So if we capture that, it's good for internal marketing, it's good for recruitment, it's good for customers, et cetera, et cetera. So the way we do it is, this is our standard expert marketing system approach, right? We have 4 posts. Now, LinkedIn is our primary mechanism, and so we schedule it, or we structure it based in the LinkedIn algorithm, which, from my knowledge and experience, once a week is a good cadence, okay? You can do more than once a week, and LinkedIn would love you to post more. I don't think that's actually the right thing, because I have to balance the algorithm with what your customers are going to see. And if someone pops up every single day, you know what? It gets a bit annoying. If you have a best friend, you might love them to death, but if they come to your house every single night, you're like, you know, can we have a break? Just, you know, a little bit. So, you know, we're doing human relationship management with our content, and once a week is a really nice cadence. We go, oh, okay. They always share something good, and it's infrequent. So when they do share something, I'm going to pay attention, right? If it's every day and you start ignoring it, you get into the habit in your brain of ignoring it, okay? So we don't want that. And we call these high impact posts. So all of the posts are designed for a particular purpose, and they have to be high quality. You can't do daily content that's of the same quality all the time, because you run out of stuff to talk about. You just don't have enough interesting things happening in your business to do that. So, you know, and look, we can create content, you know, on Instagram, which is a more busy schedule, or TikTok, which, you know, twice a day is probably up to 4 times a day, but that's different style of content, right? This is not business oriented content. They're not experts. So the way we do this, knowing that we're aiming at LinkedIn, we're aiming at their website, we're aiming at SEO, is this. So 2 blogs and 2 posts per month. So the first blog is about a person. So it's normally the CEO or the business owner, right? And it's something from their experience. However, this could also be their salespeople, right? So it could be at EnviroWaste, they could do 1 blog per month per salespeople. There's 6 salespeople, and they just go through that rotation. Now, if they were only to post once a month, that's still massive improvement on 0, which is what they're doing now, right? 1 blog a month would remarkably, you know, would change their business. And then they would share posts from the company. So 1 blog is a personal post. Now, what that means is it's a reflection that I have. It's still business, but it's a reflection as me, the founder, on something. Now, Tish, our COO, did a post today on LinkedIn. So maybe go and have a look at that. Pearlie. I don't know if you can find that, chuck it in the thing. That's a personal post, okay? It's a story about your life with a business lens, okay? That's what LinkedIn is. Then you do a second post, then you do a second blog, which is a business blog that comes out on a more business orientedness, okay? This means that I'm talking, if it's me or the company, I'm talking about the products, the services, the systems, something that is very business oriented and not so much a personal story. Now, the reason why we balance this is because the personal posts get far more engagement, but they don't educate the community on what you actually do and why you should buy something. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to engage clients or staff and get them to come work for us or buy our products. So the second one gets less engagement, but it's important because those people who are actually interested in the business can now get more information and go through a sales funnel. So you think about the people who are interested in hearing, say, from Tish, it might be this many. You know, there might be 1,000 people who are interested in Tish because I used to work with her or she's a friend and I'd love to read her story. But there's only a small amount of that who's going to be interested in buying something from Social Star. So we know that Tish might get 1,000 views and Social Star will get 100 views. And that's okay, because that's what's called a funnel. Then we do 2 posts. So we don't want just all long form content. Long form content is far more compelling for SEO. It's good for your website. It gets crawled separately by Google on LinkedIn. It gets into the search algorithm. There's just tons of benefits. But you can't always do that. So what we also balance it with is posts. So one's an internal post from the company. So an internal post is, a new staff member started, you know, Mamina won the employee of the month, or it was Julia, our intern. You know, we just had an offsite. It could be that we're moving office. I saw a client post that the other day. Whatever is interesting about, you know, what's happening at your business. And it's just different for everyone, right? Then the external post is about an industry update, something external, you know, interest rates have changed. Mortgage brokers talk about that. From our business, it could be talking about AI in marketing and some interesting stats or facts that have happened. So something that is of interest to the community, but it's not about us, okay? Now, there's a reason for every single one of these posts, okay? They psychologically impact a customer in a different way. And if they see these on a recurring basis, just regularly, even if they see a bit of it, you know, digest it, see the photo, it forms a brand inside their head, which is what we want to do, okay? We're educating and inspiring them to get closer to us. And you can't just have one type all the time. You need the variety of all these 4. The industry post externally shows your market knowledge and awareness. The internal post creates a feeling of closeness and understanding of who you are and what you do in your company culture. The personal blog connects you to an individual and creates empathy. And the blog 2, the company post, is more about the ways of working and what we sell so they understand how they work with us, okay? They're all work in unison. And so we've devised this and designed it in a particular way and it works super well. So this is the standard thing that you would implement with your customers. Now, obviously, this is a bit sophisticated and we do interview techniques to get the content for our clients. However, we will do this to a degree in a modified format for you when you partner with your customers. Now, I've got to run off to another meeting and I think other people do too, and I like to start and finish on time. So that was a pretty quick brief on that. This will be in the course in detail, okay? This is just an overview for you because you'll be working with clients pretty soon. So thank you for your time, all the questions, and we will be in the process of doing matching soon. So please give us your preferences, and if any of those early opportunities are for you, we'll start that process. We will see you on tomorrow. All right, peoples. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
See you in the office, Vivian.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.